He was a ruler who redrew the map of the world, a conqueror who brought an end to an empire that had stood for over 1,000 years, and a visionary who built a new global power from its ashes. This is the story of Mehmed II, better known as Fatih Sultan Mehmed, or Mehmed the Conqueror, the 7th Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, and one of history's most formidable figures. His reign didn't just expand an empire, it transformed it, bridging the gap between Europe and Asia and heralding a new age. Born in 1432, Mehmed was destined for greatness, but his path to power was anything but simple. He first took the throne in 1444, at the tender age of 12. Imagine a boy that young, thrust into the complex world of imperial politics and warfare. This brief initial reign was a trial by fire. It was short-lived, as powerful figures within the court, concerned about his youth, convinced his father Murad II to reclaim the throne. But this early experience was crucial. It ignited Mehmed's ambition and gave him a first-hand look at the challenges of governance. He spent the following years not in idleness, but in intense study. He devoured books on military strategy, history, science, and languages, preparing himself for the day he would rule again. That day came in 1451. Following his father's death, a more mature, determined, and brilliantly educated Mehmed II, now 19 years old, ascended the throne for the second time. He was no longer a boy to be manipulated. He was a sultan with a singular, monumental goal in his sights: the conquest of Constantinople. Constantinople. For centuries, this city was the jewel of the Byzantine Empire, the heart of Eastern Christendom, and a legendary fortress believed to be impregnable. It stood at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, a strategic prize coveted by countless rulers before him. For the Ottomans, it was more than just a city. It was a symbol. It was the red apple, the ultimate prize that would cement their legitimacy and power. Previous Ottoman sultans had tried and failed to capture it, but Mehmed was different. He was obsessed. He meticulously planned every detail of the campaign, combining traditional siege tactics with groundbreaking military technology. He commissioned the construction of massive cannons, including the famous Great Turkish Bombard, engineered by a Hungarian named Orban. This colossal weapon could hurl stone balls weighing over 1,000 pounds, designed to smash through the city's legendary Theodosian walls. Mehmed also understood the importance of naval power. The Byzantines controlled the Golden Horn, a vital waterway, protecting it with a massive chain. In a stroke of military genius, Mehmed ordered his ships to be dragged overland on greased logs, bypassing the chain and launching them directly into the Golden Horn. This audacious move shocked the defenders and tightened the siege. For 53 days, the battle for Constantinople raged. The defenders, though vastly outnumbered, fought with incredible bravery. But on May 29, 1453, the Ottoman forces finally breached the walls. At just 21 years old, Mehmed II rode into the city, not as a destroyer, but as a conqueror with a vision. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves across the world. It marked the definitive end of the Byzantine Empire and, for many historians, the end of the Middle Ages. The conquest of Constantinople was just the beginning of Mehmed's grand project. He immediately began the work of transforming the city, which he renamed Istanbul, into the magnificent new capital of his empire. He wasn't interested in ruling over ruins. He initiated a massive rebuilding program, repairing the walls, constructing new mosques, markets, and public baths. The magnificent Hagia Sophia, the grandest church in Christendom, was converted into a mosque, a powerful symbol of the new order. But Mehmed's vision for Istanbul was not one of uniformity. He wanted it to be a vibrant, multicultural, and cosmopolitan center of the world. He actively encouraged people from all corners of his empire and beyond, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, Turks, Greeks, Armenians, and Italians to settle in the city. He granted religious freedom to non-Muslim communities, allowing them to govern their own affairs under the millet system. This policy of relative tolerance helped ensure the city's stability and prosperity, attracting artisans, merchants, scholars, and artists who would contribute to its golden age. Istanbul quickly became a bustling hub of trade, culture, and intellectual life, a true bridge between East and West, just as its conqueror had intended. With his new capital secured, Mehmed the Conqueror turned his attention to consolidating and expanding his empire. He was a relentless campaigner, spending most of his reign on the battlefield. His goal was to eliminate any rival powers and secure the Ottoman Empire's dominance in the region. He marched his armies into the Balkans, subjugating Serbia, conquering the Peloponnese in Greece, and bringing Bosnia under Ottoman rule. His campaigns were strategic, aimed at creating a secure buffer zone around his core territories and pushing the empire's frontiers deep into Europe. In Anatolia, he unified the Turkish heartland by conquering the Empire of Trebizond, the last independent remnant of Byzantine authority. He also waged war against the powerful Akoyunlu Confederation in the east, defeating their leader Uzun Hasan at the decisive Battle of Otlukbeli in 1473. This victory secured Ottoman control over eastern Anatolia and removed a major threat to his empire. On the seas, he built a formidable navy that challenged the naval powers of Venice and Genoa. He captured numerous Aegean islands and established a foothold in southern Italy by briefly capturing the city of Otranto in 1480, causing widespread panic across the Italian peninsula. Through these constant military efforts, Mehmed transformed the Ottoman state from a regional entity into a sprawling, transcontinental empire that would dominate the world stage for centuries to come. But to define Mehmed II solely as a warrior would be a great disservice to his legacy. He was a true Renaissance man, a ruler with a deep and genuine passion for knowledge, art and culture. His court in Istanbul became a beacon of learning that attracted some of the brightest minds of the 15th century. Mehmed himself was a polyglot, reportedly fluent in Turkish, Arabic, Persian, Greek, Latin, and Serbian. This linguistic skill allowed him to engage directly with texts and scholars from different civilizations. He established a grand imperial library filled with thousands of manuscripts on a vast range of subjects, from science and philosophy to history and poetry. He invited Italian Renaissance artists to his court, most famously Gentile Bellini, who painted the iconic portrait of the Sultan that we know today. This created a unique cultural synthesis, blending Islamic, Persian, and European artistic traditions. Mehmed was fascinated by both Islamic scholarship and Western thought. He commissioned translations of classical Greek and Latin works, like Ptolemy's Geography, into Arabic and Turkish. He enjoyed holding debates with scholars of different faiths, discussing complex topics in theology and philosophy. This intellectual curiosity and patronage of the arts helped foster a vibrant cultural environment in Istanbul, making it one of the world's great intellectual centers. He wasn't just conquering lands, he was building a civilization. Beyond his military and cultural achievements, Mehmed the Conqueror was also a masterful statesman and lawgiver. He understood that a vast empire couldn't be held together by force alone. It required a strong, centralized administration and a clear legal framework. One of his most significant domestic achievements was the compilation of the Kanunname, or the Book of Laws. This was a secular, legal code that complemented Islamic Sharia law. It organized the structure of the state, defined the roles and responsibilities of government officials, set tax regulations, and established court protocols. The Kanunname standardized administrative practices across the empire, strengthening the Sultan's authority and creating a more efficient and predictable system of governance. It also included the controversial law of fratricide, which permitted a new sultan to execute his brothers to prevent succession disputes and civil wars that had plagued the empire in the past. While this seems harsh by modern standards, it was seen as a necessary measure to ensure the stability of the state. Through these legal and administrative reforms, Mehmed laid the institutional foundations that would allow the Ottoman Empire to function effectively for generations. He transformed the Ottoman government from a semi-feudal system into a highly centralized bureaucratic empire with the Sultan at its absolute center. In the spring of 1481, Mehmed the Conqueror, now 49 years old, was preparing to lead his army on yet another major campaign. The destination was a closely guarded secret. Some sources suggest he was planning a full-scale invasion of Italy to conquer Rome itself, while others believe his target was the island of Rhodes or Mamluk Egypt. Whatever his goal, it was destined to be his final journey. Shortly after crossing into Anatolia, he suddenly fell ill and died on May 3rd, 1481. His death was so abrupt that it sparked rumors of him being poisoned, a theory that persists to this day, though it has never been proven. The news of his death was met with relief and celebration in Europe, which had lived in fear of his next move. The Great Eagle, as he was called, had fallen. He was buried in a grand tomb at the Fatih Mosque complex in Istanbul, the city he had conquered and made his own. His passing marked the end of an era of unprecedented and rapid expansion. He left behind an empire that was vastly larger, wealthier, and more powerful than the one he had inherited. His legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was a ruthless military commander, but also a patron of the arts. A devout Muslim who offered protection to other faiths. A conqueror who was also a builder. Fatih Sultan Mehmed II was more than just a sultan. He was a force of nature who irrevocably changed the course of world history. His vision, ambition, and intellect established the Ottoman Empire as a global superpower. And his name, the Conqueror, echoes through the centuries as a testament to his extraordinary impact on the world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of one of history's most fascinating rulers, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.